Hey Cavs fans, welcome to another episode of the Cavs Pick and Roll podcast. I'm Alex. I'm here with Corey. What's up, Corey?
Hey Alex, how's it going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. It's been a while since we recorded. I think we start every episode like that.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot going on right now, right?
There isn't.
Man, I was thinking about it before we started recording. It's been 4 months of no Cavs basketball now. I'm starting to get to that point, Alex.
Yeah.
Like, I need Cavs basketball again, and I just realized I'm missing Cavs basketball right now. So, but outside of that, man, we both got big week this week. Kids going back to school.
Yep.
Going to be nice having a quiet house again during work hours.
Yeah. Today was my kids'
home.
first day, so
Yeah,
they're all tired out now.
yeah. So
They weren't thrilled, I'll tell you that.
no, I'm sure. But other than that, yeah, not a lot going on. But we got some things we want to talk about. But what's going on with you? Anything fun going on? Any stories? Anything like that?
Yeah, a funny story. We decided to take the kids to their first concert, and so I got tickets to see the Beach Boys at Nautica, or
Nice.
I guess Jacobs Pavilion, used to be called Nautica. It's a great place to see a concert. It's like right down on the bank by the river, and it's real small. It's almost all seating, so it's nice to see. I've probably seen 3 concerts there, and somewhat recently, I saw Peter Frampton, I saw Britt Floyd, and now we just went and saw the Beach Boys with the kids. But I don't know, some trivia, of course. Kevin Love's uncle is one of the Beach Boys, Mike Love, and he is also the last touring member of the original group of the Beach Boys that still tours.
Oh wow!
So about halfway through the concert, he started talking about his nephew Kevin, and he started showing pictures up, behind where they're on the stage, and it showed Kevin Love, in college at UCLA. They showed a picture of him in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
They showed a picture of him with the Cavs winning the championship. Everybody in the crowd's cheering, and then they showed a picture of him on the Miami Heat. It's like, well, that was a questionable choice, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, we went to go see the Beach Boys, and it somehow turned into, hey, Cavs player.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
Cavs,
awesome.
Cavs event.
Did the kids even know who the Beach Boys were?
So we were playing the music for them
Okay.
up until, the concerts, that they would be familiar with some of the songs. And it was a good kid-friendly concert to take them to, despite some of the... some of the videos going on while the music was playing, right? Because
Psychedelic.
No, not psychedelic, but it's all beach themed music, right? California.
Yeah.
So I think they played like Surf and Safari and the California Girls video they played. Where, it's all girls in bikinis running on the beach, and it's like, oh, all right.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's funny because
bad, but...
it's funny because we were trying to record. That was last week when you went there. And you're like, oh, I can't do it this one night. When we were trying to figure out a night, you're like, I'm going to a concert. I'm like, all right, no big deal. I never asked you who you were going to see, and it's funny that it was for the Beach Boys. Of anybody in the world, like any band in the world, that probably would have been the last one I would have thought of. But that's funny, and that's funny that that Kevin Love's uncle is part of that band, and that they were showing pictures of him and talking about him.
Yeah, it was a cool concert. Cool. Like just like the whole theme of it, everybody's wearing their like Hawaiian shirts and
sure,
like a Jimmy Buffett kind of island theme.
Right.
Beach balls bouncing around the crowd. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was cool. And with it being right on the bank, you got all the boats going by behind the stage. This huge barge goes by that blocks you like the entire view behind the stage. It's incredible that can make that turn back there. And it was blowing its horn during the concert. Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. Highly recommended if you got young kids to find a concert to take them to, because that's like the perfect place to go.
Right. And you might see some pictures of Kevin Love while you're there, right? So
if it's the Beach Boys, yeah.
If it's the Beach Boys.
I swear, man, every song they played, it's like, oh yeah, I know this song. Every song's a hit that they have.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's why they're still touring, man.
Yeah.
Nice. So let's get in. There's not a ton of Cavs stuff to talk about right now, right, Alex? Let's just be honest. It's that time of the year where there's just not a lot going on. But there's a few tidbits, some things that have happened that we wanted to talk about just because it's been a couple weeks since we recorded last, and then we just had some other fun things to talk about. But the first thing that I wanted to start off with is the Ricky Rubio situation. So that happened a couple weeks back, where it was announced that basically he's going to be stepping away from basketball um, due to mental health. Basically, he wants to take some time and get his mind right.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, when I heard that, I thought he was stepping away just from the World Games. But then I don't know if it was you or another buddy of mine. Like, no, he's stepping away from basketball. And then I got, whoa! I read it then I read it myself, and I was like, oh, okay, And the Cavs announced this, and of course, everybody was supportive. The Cavs put out stuff on social media. There was other players, former and current NBA players, like I think it was Patrick Beverly. That's like props to Rubio that takes guts to do that basically, and like let that come out and be public kind of thing, right? So we obviously, we like what Rubio did the first season he was here. Last year was a little bit of an off year because of the injuries. But I think overall, a lot of Cavs fans were anticipating, year 3 of Rubio, should be fully healed now. And can he bring back some of that magic he had that first season? And I guess what's kind of your take on the situation? We don't know if he's just going to be, done with the summer. Is he coming back in training camp? Is he going to actually miss, part of the season? And I guess, I don't think this will be the case, but if it all ended today, if he decided to say, you know what, I'm going to retire from basketball, how would you sum up Ricky Rubio's time with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
The thing that I wonder about is how it affects the Cavs and their roster. Um, how does it hit our cap space? Does his salary still hit our cap? Or would we get a what's
One of
it
those
called?
exceptions.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a salary exception.
Disabled player exception or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And we're going way downstream, right? There's still months until until the regular season starts, but you
Right,
just never know with these things where they're going to end up.
right. And I mean, he was our number 2 point guard, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it kind of hurts. It hurts. It hurts our depth for sure, and it hurts having a veteran player like that on the team because we don't have many. It's a very young team. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, and it's hard not knowing what the future is, what he's doing, if he's going to come back at all. Um,
Yeah, I feel like there's been hints of this because over the off season as well. He's if you've been paying attention, there's been other tidbits that he's come out and said like I don't know how much more basketball I have in me. His kids are starting to grow. He wants to be able to watch them grow and spend time with them, kind of thing. So those little nuggets of hints were kind of sprinkled in there too before all this kind of happened. And all of a sudden, that Ty Jerome signing that they made, former Warriors guard, all of a sudden, he potentially could be a big signing because he may be your backup point guard if, come the beginning of the season, Rubio's, not in a uniform for you. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. Um, from my perspective, to sum up Rubio's time here, first and foremost, for fans like you and me, if you put on a Cavs jersey, you're a Cavs legend for life, basically, right? Like I can't think of many Cavs players that I can say today that I hate that they ever wore a Cavs uniform. So I think everybody, is a Rubio fan. He's easy to like and root for. And man, that first season, he had some magical games, and that's what I'll remember. And I'll kind of be sad if it ends here because I want to see more Rubio. And I want to see him. I want to see him, in a playoff series where he's able to contribute and make a difference, and just be running that second unit and doing what we all know he can do. So here's hoping it's not the last time. he's wearing a Cavs uniform, and we're obviously supportive of him and wish him the best. But do you
Yeah.
kind of have that same sense, or are you kind of like, you know what, Rubio had an off year last year, he sucks, good riddance?
No, for sure. I think absolutely we're gonna miss him. The funny thing is, I got a Reddit notification, about a Cavs post, and I tapped on it and I glanced, and it was a picture of a Cavs number 13 jersey, and it was titled "I Miss Him Already." And I was
Yeah.
like, somebody's missing Tristan Thompson right now.
Ooh.
That's random. and then I tapped on it and saw it was Rubio, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
That makes a little bit more sense. Yeah. Yeah, he was a fun player watching, just even growing up too, in his younger days. Man, he was a wizard. Him and Steve Nash are the two that just jump out at me. That they were just the Magic Johnsons of their eras, as far as being able to control the offense and just the
Oh
moves they
yeah,
were able to do and the passes and all that. Like,
force the
yeah,
matchups that he wanted. Absolutely.
yep. Throw white chocolate in there too. Jason Williams was another one that was really fun to watch. Those three were great.
Oh
So
man, speaking of Jason Williams, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole the other day, and I came across a video that was Jason Williams. Do you know he played high school basketball with Randy Moss,
no,
the
I didn't know
wide
that.
receiver from the Vikings, right? And
Yeah.
wow, there were some epic highlights between them. Even in high
Really?
school,
I'll have
Jason
to look.
Williams was throwing behind the back passes and between the legs passes, and Randy Moss was a beast. He was crazy tall and athletic, and I never even realized he played basketball, but he was
Yeah.
dunking it in high school, and man, they were just it was a sweet. You should look it up
Yeah,
if
I'll
you
definitely have to look it up
get
because
a
I didn't know that
chance.
he played basketball either, man. I didn't know he could have been the next Bo Jackson.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been getting on rabbit holes too lately with YouTube. Again, there's like there's no basketball to consume right now, and like the NBA channel, in specifically, has been putting out a lot of the best of moments, like in playoff series games, like the most clutch moments from like game 5 of a playoff series, or round 1 or something like that. And I was watching one the other day, and these are like 5-minute long videos. I forget which one exactly it was, but two of the clips out of that 5-minute stretch was LeBron hitting game winners against the Washington Wizards.
Nice.
And there was another one too, the one where Damon Jones hit the 3-pointer in the corner to seal a comeback win. Man, we owned the Wizards at that time. It was like the Raptors of that era.
Man,
But I've been watching a lot of
yeah.
stuff like that, and it's been fun just going back and watching just random NBA clips and old playoff games and stuff like
I went
that.
to one of those games. It was the game. It was one of the games that Gilbert Arenas went off. Like Agent Zero he dropped like
Yeah,
40 points on us. And I was like, how the hell are we going to let Gilbert Arenas drop like 40 points on us?
he
It
was
was
good
like,
at
who
one
who
time,
is
man.
this
He was
guy?
good. He was
He
solid.
was he was really good for a couple of years up until the whole locker room
Injuries.
incident.
Yeah, in the locker room. Yeah. But it's been fun watching that stuff. Again, we got to get our basketball fix somehow, right? So YouTube, YouTube is king right now. If you need your fix for basketball highlights and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So
yeah. But back to what we were talking about, Rubio, man. It's a hard loss. Don't know what's going to happen if he's going to come back at all. Will we be playing a tribute video to him later this season? Yeah, I have no idea what's going
I
to
hope
happen.
not. I hope not. I hope he comes back. I don't want to be selfish, but as a Cavs fan, you're like, okay, do you? But I want him at training camp. Like I want him in the preseason. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I selfishly want. But, realistically, that might not be the case. So just have to, hope for the best. And he needs to do what he needs to do, to get right. If he came back and he's not right, he's not going to be the same Rubio anyways. So I'd rather have him just take care
I'm
of himself.
yeah, I'm getting some like Derrick Rose vibes.
The
Remember that? Remember Derrick
Yeah, I
Rose
remember.
stepping away, losing his love for basketball when he was with the Cavs. It's like, man, what's
Yeah,
with the Cavs and and guys losing their love for basketball?
right. It's amazing because he's still in the NBA today, and he's still a serviceable player. And it was a couple weeks, not a couple months back, I would say, maybe a month or two back. I don't know. I was on a text chain with a couple buddies, and like Derrick Rose came up as a topic, and we all had the same opinion. He should have been better than what he was while he was here because he was still he was like 29 when he was here in a Cavs uniform. Like, that's crazy to think about. And we only had him for like 15 games, and it was, worse than when Larry Hughes was here, right? Just such a disappointment. Dwayne Wade was here that year too, and we had all three at the same time, him, LeBron, and Wade. And I saw a stat where they only played like 10 games together the total time they were all here, or something crazy like that. So just a disappointing era, time when you think of Derrick Rose and Dwayne Wade in a Cavs uniform.
Yeah, there's a sweet picture of them like all in Cavs uniforms, standing along the table like they're all about to check into the game at the same time or something.
That's where I saw the stat that like this lineup only played X amount of games together, and it was something crazy, stupid low. Maybe it was even minutes. Maybe it was something even crazy, like it was only 100 minutes of basketball together or something like that.
Like Andrew Bogut time.
Right. Yeah, that was seconds. So hopefully Rubio isn't going away, but let's talk about somebody else that might be going away too, or at least there's a certain percentage of the Cavs fan base that think this player is going away in the near future, and that's Donovan Mitchell. Real quick, Alex, I still try to stay active, and I go play basketball Saturday mornings at a local church around where I live. Pretty good group of guys, consistent group of guys, and they talk Cavs basketball. They don't know that I do this podcast and all that, but we're kind of warming up before a game, and I hear some of the guys talking like, "Oh, Mitchell's going to be out of here. He's going to New York. They need to trade him, by the trade deadline this year." And I'm just sitting there with a little smirk on my face, just like shaking my head. I'm like, "Don't do it, Corey. don't get into. I just want to play ball. I'm just here to exercise, get my run in. It's my once a week, get to run around for a while and just." But yeah, man, I think there's a lot of people that just seem to think like they still have this Cleveland woe is me kind of mindset, right? Like nobody wants to be here kind of thing. And Chris Fedor, a local beat writer, been around for a while, recently did a one-on-one interview with JB Bickerstaff. This came out about a week or so ago. He asked a bunch of questions, stuff about the playoffs and losing to the New York Knicks and what would you do differently? What did you learn? And that's all fine and dandy. But one thing I wanted to talk about here was one of the questions about Donovan Mitchell. And the question was, since trading for Donovan Mitchell, there's been chatter about his future, with people across the NBA making predictions about his likely path of playing a few years in Cleveland and then leaving for New York or some other destination. What have your interactions been like with him this offseason? What sense do you have about his commitment to the Cavs? I felt like that was a pretty bold question to kind of ask, directly to the head coach of the team, of basically your star player. And I felt he had a pretty good response back that maybe we'll hit some Cavs fans a little bit differently here. So Bickerstaff says, "I went to visit him in Connecticut. We worked out together for a few days and talked about things we were going to implement this upcoming season. He was with us in Las Vegas during the Summer League and stayed longer than most. He worked out with the guys and went to dinners. The things we asked him to work on over the summer, we watched him do those things, and I have seen him implement those things from an individual standpoint. I continue to watch how he brings teammates in and builds relationships with them. There were conversations we had with him during free agency about trying to get the people we needed in here. There were conversations he had with the guys we were able to bring in. All of those things tell you that Donovan is all in. If a guy is not attentive to free agency and how we are going to get better as a team, if he is not attentive to his teammates over the summer, if he is not paying attention or working out on individual things that may make him uncomfortable, but also are best for the team moving forward, to me, that would be a guy who is not engaged. I have seen the opposite. I have seen a guy that is all in." All in 2016. Remember that hashtag? All in.
Corey.
Donovan's all in, man. Yeah, there
we go.
He's
wearing the all-in
AP's
shirt
got
right
the
now.
shirt on. He's got the shirt. Do you got the towel? Can you wave the rally towel?
You know what?
No?
I don't have it.
He's looking around. He's looking around. You know what he's going to do? He can't find the towel, but he's going to like point the Bill Laimbeer card. Oh, man. Cavs fans, I thank you for listening to us, but you got to watch this. You got to watch this on YouTube too, because it's just, I swear, he has it in his wallet like it's a picture of one of his freaking kids.
Carry it around with me everywhere.
Yep. So I don't know. I read that, Alex. Again, I thought that was a pretty bold question to ask. Not something I feel like that gets asked a whole lot. And I felt like that was a pretty good response. And sure, it doesn't guarantee anything. Bickerstaff's been around a while. He's pretty well coached up now on how to talk to the media and answer questions.
Exactly.
And I also don't know, like, this isn't a video where I was able to see Chris ask and him answer right away. For all I know, this could have been questions emailed to Bickerstaff. He had time to think about it and write something back.
Yeah, right? That's a good point. You don't get to see Bickerstaff's reaction, his facial expression, his to read his body language while he's answering that question, or when initially when he's asked that question, is he taken aback? Does he take time to think about it? It's and he gives the answer that everybody expects him to give, right? Like he did go into a good amount of detail talking about how engaged Donovan Mitchell is, and yeah, that's how you got to answer that question. Absolutely. What was he supposed to say? Nah, he went to South Beach and partied all summer, and
right. Yeah, I think I try to read between the lines there. He was at Vegas. We saw him sitting on the bench. Garland was there. Minivan was there. A couple of the new guys were there as well. And it felt like what I took from that was, as far as, what they asked him to do to make him uncomfortable. This is just my educated guess. I think they asked Mitchell to be a team leader over the summer and communicate with your teammates, even though we're done with basketball for a little while. Like, we haven't heard of anything about off-season workouts because it's a little bit too early for that, but I'm not going to be shocked or surprised if here in the coming weeks we see something like that. A local beat writer tweets out that, the Cavs are having off-season, player only workouts, and Donovan Mitchell is arranging that. And, we've seen that before when LeBron was here, and it's just always a good look when you see those type of things, right? But I think that's what they were asking him to do, is just build that camaraderie, continue to build that camaraderie, over the offseason, and basically act like a team leader, is what I think they asked him to do. So, we'll see what comes of it. And ultimately, again, nothing's guaranteed, right? But I think the notion of you need to trade him by this trade deadline is foolish. It's too soon. You have an off season, and then you have an additional trade deadline yet. The only way I can see, you trading him this season by the trade deadline is if Mitchell pulls a James Harden or a Damian Lillard, comes out publicly, says, I don't want to be here anymore, and your hand is forced, right? But I don't anticipate that happening. I anticipate them making another playoff run and hopefully getting farther in the playoffs and getting another year of experience.
Yeah. All the evidence that Bickerstaff gave points at Mitchell. I don't know about staying long term, but at least putting his best foot forward. And Mitchell's a gamer, right? He's a competitor. He's always going to go all in, all out every season. So I don't know that it's a strong indicator of him staying long term, but it's a strong indicator of him, wanting to win this season.
Yeah, totally.
He brought, like you said, Minivan, George Niang. He got him to come over from Utah. So
right.
Would he tell a buddy from Utah to, hey, come join this team if he was just going to bail the next season?
Maybe.
LeBron
told people to come.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's not out of the question, but it seems a little unlikely.
Some people came and then he left, twice, and there was people that were left behind, so.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, Well,
the first time there was a lot of hurt feelings, right?
Yeah. Bergeau, yeah. So we'll see. Again, nothing. It is what it is. It's going to be a storyline for the next 2 years up until he either gets traded, leaves in free agency, or resigns. Right? Like Mitchell's one of those players you don't trade unless he's straight up telling you, I don't want to be here anymore. You know what I mean? So the Cavs aren't trading him this year.
The only way that I see it happening at all is if they start out super rough and rocky. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's just becomes a bad somehow totally impossible
Yeah.
with this team, I think, but somehow
Yeah,
it
I mean, a
becomes a
lot of
bad
it.
situation.
Well, you can have Mitchell and Garland go down. Well, there goes your season, right? They're both
Yeah.
out. 2-3 months, your season's done.
If they
So
become the Nets, like Durant asked for a trade, Harden
yeah.
asked for a trade, Kyrie asking for a trade to get out of there.
Are you paying attention to the Harden stuff real quick? Like, did
Yeah.
you see him publicly come out and say Daryl Morey is a liar? I will never do business or be on a team
Yeah.
with Daryl Morey on it because he's a
Yeah.
liar. Like,
Yeah, I saw the video of him doing that publicly at some James Harden painted floor basketball court in front of a group
yeah.
of people, but I didn't know who the audience was or where it was taking place at. Did you?
No, I didn't
Okay.
see it either. And all I know is it's funny.
But that was pretty
It's
brutal.
entertaining.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. Like Lillard and Harden and these guys that they just, I don't know, it's just the wrong approach in my opinion. And you're not that they care because at the end of the day they're still getting paid, but internet's gonna hate you, hate any kind of player like that pretty quickly. And I don't know if you ever get back on the good graces, except for the fan base that maybe you end up on if you do get moved. But like Lillard, like what's going on there? Like it's been like weeks and I haven't heard anything. Like so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with those two franchises. And man, 76ers, Joel Embiid's the one that needs to request the trade next because he's been there for quite a while now. Man, think about the players they've had over the years, couldn't get anywhere, not even to the finals, and he's got this circus to deal with. So
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, ridiculous. Remember Jimmy Butler was there? Like they had some squads
Jimmy was
over the
there.
year. JJ Redick, man, running around. I mean, like they had their squads.
Allen Iverson.
Derek Coleman, Tyrone Hill.
There we go.
Did you know Tyrone Hill went to the 76ers, played in the finals? All right. I saw that on a YouTube clip too, on one of those YouTube clips. It was Tyrone Hill like getting blocked or something like that against the Lakers the year that they played the Lakers. So, yeah. All right. So next topic, Alex. Let me bring this up here real quick. It's not crazy news, but it's out there, right? The preseason schedule dropped. I am not too crazy. I'm not this like schedule guy that gets all crazy and excited about it. But what is nice is that, like, yeah, Cavs basketball is coming. It's not till October. October 10th is when preseason kicks off for the Cavs. They'll be playing 4 games, the 10th through the 20th. The Hawks, the Magic, the Pacers, and I can't say the one team. It's a foreign team. Maccabiah, Renata, I don't know. Maccabi, yeah, Maccabi something. I can't say it. But 4 games there. Do anything for you, Alex, with it being almost 2 months away yet? Probably not.
Nah, I don't really care.
Yeah. I did see, though, it sounds like the regular season schedule is supposed to be dropping here soon. Maybe even by the time this comes out, because the Cavs tweeted something today that they heard that the regular season schedule is dropping tomorrow. So we'll see what that's about. I will be curious to see if the number of nationally televised games get bumped up. And it's been a little while since we've had a Christmas Day game, Alex.
Yeah,
I can go for a Christmas Day game.
Christmas Day games were always fun.
Yeah, they were.
We usually won them.
We did. So the last thing in kind of boring Cavs news is the remember the in-season tournament that we can care less about and we think is stupid. Well, they did announce the brackets for that, the groupings basically, and this is going to take place November 3rd through like the 28th, which is kind of a long time in my opinion. But the Cavs are bracketed with the Pacers, the Pistons, the 76ers, who should be a freaking hot mess by then. Like Joel Embiid should be out of there by then. Maybe not. And the Hawks. So on
All right.
paper, it feels like the Cavs, are the strongest team out of that group and may have a good chance of advancing.
Sounds
But
like we
again,
got this in the bag.
well, you would hope, but I still don't know what the heck they're playing for and what the point of all of this is, except for just saying that we have an
Money.
in-season tournament and the players get some extra money if they win the whole thing. I
Yeah.
still don't know what's in it from a fan perspective. So, you excited? You look excited.
I mean, no, not really.
Yeah.
I don't see the point in it. Like you said, what are they playing for? What do the fans get out of it? What does the team get out of it if they win? I feel
I'm hoping
indifferent
it's a one
about
and
it.
done. I'm hoping it's a one and done, to be honest with you. Like they try it and they realize nobody cares. Ratings didn't go up, and it's a 1 year thing. So we'll see. So again, not a ton going on right now in Cavs basketball land, but Alex, again, it's been 4 months of no Cavs basketball. We got to get our fixes in. We're going down YouTube rabbit holes.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing, I'm excited to hear your opinion on it, because you finally have tried one of the modes in NBA 2K23 that I've wanted you to try for a while, which is the MyNBA Eras mode.
Yep.
I've talked about that a couple times on the pod, and if you don't know what that is, if you love basketball and you love like retro or like throwback teams, and like, if you're one of those people that says basketball was better in the 80s and the 90s, well, then this mode, if you play video games and basketball games, this mode is for you, because basically you get to start a franchise with any team that you want in different eras of NBA basketball. And you get to basically manage that team, moving forward, free agency moves, draft classes, trades and all that stuff. And what I really like about this mode too, Alex, is there's players in the game now that typically wouldn't be in there, because there's always been classic teams and stuff like that. But Chris Mills isn't sitting on a Cavs throwback team, in the game somewhere. You know what I mean? But now in this MyNBA Eras mode, when you get to that point with your franchise, I think he was 95 draft, could be wrong, 94, 95, 95, 96, somewhere around there. When you make it to that draft, you can theoretically draft Chris Mills and play with him in the game now. So I knew you had the Switch version, and the Switch version didn't have that mode, and you finally got it on the PS5, right? Because it was
Right.
on
Yeah.
PlayStation
Yeah.
Plus.
It was a free game of the month finally.
Right.
So
So
yeah.
walk us through what you did. When did you start? I'm dying to hear, like, just what did you do? What was some of the roster moves, and how's it been going? And do you think you're gonna kind of continue it? Because I love it. I
So
still play it.
I mean, yeah. So of course I started with the Cavs, my era mode. Team was pretty bare bone to start with, right? I'm trying to think who I had on the team. I had Larry Nance Sr. Um,
You did the '80s mode, you said, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
Magic Bird
The
mode.
earliest, Magic
So
Bird era.
yeah, you would have had World Be Free. You would
I
have
had
had
World
Phil
Be Free.
Hubbard. John Bagley should have been there. Cliff Robinson. So a couple guys, but yeah, nothing too crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But really, when I was working on my roster, I mostly just focused on my starting 5, 6, 7 players and let the CPU fill in everything else. Otherwise, it's just kind of cumbersome to try to manage a full roster.
Oh, I managed it day in and day out,
Yeah,
Alex.
I know you did. I wasn't that dedicated. I just kind of wanted to see who was going to be in the drafts every year and where they would go and what teams they would end up on. So I got through maybe 3 seasons of pretty much simulating games. The first season I simulated all the way through, and got to the playoffs. I think I washed out in the first round against Detroit. I had nothing worth for draft picks, right? The Cavs just didn't have any picks in that era.
Stipend.
Yeah,
stipend,
the
Stipien, whatever his name is.
Stipien
He
rule.
traded away they traded away the picks. Didn't have
Teddy
any
boy.
picks in the mid '80s.
Yeah, so I didn't have hardly any picks. I can't even remember who I drafted. I ended up picking up Spud Webb as a free agent to be my starting
Nice.
point guard. Um,
Pull
I
off any
hope.
dunks with him?
Yes, I did actually get to dunk with Spud Webb, and it's
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah, it is freaking cool. The animation for it's just badass, right? It's awesome.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's really quick. I was getting steals with him. He's a great shooter. Um, he does get swatted a lot if you're not careful, just because he is that small, of course.
Right.
Um, who else did I get? I traded for Bill Laimbeer, of course.
Yeah. What'd you pay for that?
Did I
Because I
trade
tried
for
getting
him?
them. I tried getting them, and it was too expensive for
I
my
think I
liking.
got him off of free agency. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure I got him off of free agency.
Probably paid a decent amount though.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't matter. It really didn't. It didn't matter what he was asking. I was paying it. And he was a good player in there, man.
Yeah.
He was excellent. Great defensive game, good post up game. Trying to think of who else I ended up picking up.
I remember you telling me you landed Scotty. You took Scotty in one of the drafts. Scotty Pippen.
Yeah. I think that was the draft that I got an actual fairly high pick, and I took Scottie Pippen, who's a beast in the game.
Sure.
Just from his size, speed, shooting ability. Trying to think of who else. I got a Cavs player.
I remember you saying you picked up Steve Kerr as a backup point guard.
Yeah, I did pick up Steve Kerr as a
Yeah.
backup point guard. I picked up another Byron Scott. I got Byron Scott.
Former Cavs coach.
Yeah. Trying to think of
what do you think of the mode? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Again, it's a lot to try to manage a full roster. The CPU's throwing trades at you.
Sure.
Managing a cap. It's
funny. It's funny the contract.
It's
funny. It's funny the contracts back then because you would I have Kevin Johnson. I took Kevin Johnson the year that you took Scottie Pippen.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got Kevin Johnson and Reggie Lewis in the same draft. I got like the 3rd pick and the 7th pick. And that was after I traded away, the World B Freeze and just started to collect some first round picks. And I'm up to the 1991 season. So I've had them for a couple of years now. And I think they're only making like 3 or 4 million a season. Might even be less than that. Just because it's just funny seeing the difference of what the money was then versus like what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And there's got to be players from that era kicking themselves like, why couldn't I have been born 10 or 15 years later and be making freaking $200 million right now? And then whining and saying, I won't play for this team. You got to trade me and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I paid a high price for Bill Laimbeer, and it was still only like a couple million.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is your cap, your total salary is like 20 million for the team. So 4 or 5 million, 6 million, it takes a chunk out of your team, right?
Right.
But that's kind of the fun of it. Like I've enjoyed kind of trying to figure out how to piece together the best roster I can with that cap by making trades. I've tried to, as of late, go former Cavs players only. Like for a little while, like I said, I still have Reggie Lewis, but like I didn't go down this path of just having like 10 non-former Cavs players and only like 2 Cavs players on my team. I'm trying to go, former Cavs players for some time, which adds another layer of complexity when you're trying to make trades or free agency signings or drafts, right? But it's been fun. I've liked it. The new 2K24 is coming out here in a couple weeks, I think sometime in September. But to be honest with you, I'm playing the my MyNBA era, and I'm just going to continue to play it. I'm only in the 1991 season. Like I want to get through the 90s. I want I want to get Bob Sir. I want to, I want to try to get Harold Miner and Chris Mills and those guys and Derek Anderson. There's so many players I'm excited to get to try to get on the roster and just see what I can do. And I'm currently in my third finals trying to three-peat. I'm going up against the Los Angeles Lakers right now. And I played a game this morning before work at like 6:30 in the morning just because I'm
Mhm.
up. And I got smoked. Magic
Oh,
Johnson smoked me, dropped 31 points, had 11 assists, 6 or 7 rebounds. I ended up losing the game by 5. So I'm battling the Lakers right now. And then I'm going into the off-season draft. Terrell Brandon's in this draft, and I owned a number 3 overall pick. So I'm going to see if I can land Terrell. I'd have Terrell, Mark Price, and KJ all on the roster.
oh, nice.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
So we'll see what happens. I don't know. KJ's a free agent, so I might lose him and just go with Terrell and Mark Price. But it's been fun. It's been fun playing it, and I'm just glad that you finally dabbled in it. And heck, you told me you won a championship already too, right?
I did. Yeah, yeah. The last season I won a championship. Um, I'm trying to think, man. I wish I booted up earlier today to see what my roster was because I think I made a trade for. I want to say Hot Rod Williams. I'm pretty sure I
There you
got
go.
Hot Rod Williams on my team.
Hot Rod's fun to play with. He's solid. I used him as my center for a while, my starting center for a season and a half or so.
I think I signed Shaw, Byron Shaw. I don't know if you remember him.
Brian Shaw.
Played, yeah,
Okay.
played with Hardaway, right? On the
Yeah.
Magic.
Orlando. Yep.
Yeah, he was a
Yep.
player I picked up. Um,
Do you remember? Like real quick, like in mine, like Michael Jordan is on Philadelphia with Moses Malone. Karl Malone's out with Isaiah Thomas in Houston. Like it's fun too seeing where the star players end up as they get drafted. Hakeem Olajuwon is freaking the Twin Towers with Patrick Ewing on the Chicago Bulls in mine. Do you remember where some of
yeah,
those major players ended up?
that's funny because that's what happened in my game too, and I wonder if that's common. But yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon went to Chicago, and I
Mm-hmm.
think Jordan went to. Oh man, I want to say Houston. I'd
Yeah, I remember
probably
you.
have to
Yeah, you
look
did.
and
I
see
think you did tell me Houston when we were
what
messaging
the.
the other
I'd have
day.
to look and see what the draft order was for that season.
It's so
But
weird seeing him in another uniform.
yeah, yeah, it is
Just
really
like
weird.
and like Houston's like a bright red and yellow uniform. It's got to look so weird. But that's the beauty of the mode is, it's rewriting history in a way, right? And players go where they didn't really go in real life, and it just makes it more fun because when you're playing a team, you almost don't even know who you're going up against unless you're dedicated. And I simulate a lot of games too. So like when I'm playing the New York Knicks, sure, I'm thinking Patrick Ewing, I'm thinking Larry Johnson, and then I go play the game and there's freaking, like Clyde Drexler and and Timmy Hardaway waiting for me. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. You said you had Dan Marley too, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did draft
Yeah.
Thunder Dan.
Marley's so fun to play with. I love playing with Dan Marley. He's such a good shooter in the game. I shoot better with him than I do Mark Price in the game. He's really fun. That's a great pickup. So I'm glad you finally dabbled in the era, the MyNBA era. And when you started messaging me about that a couple days ago, I was super pumped. And I'm like, we definitely got to talk about
Yeah,
that.
it's cool. I was getting into it, especially the drafting. I mean, the drafting's the most fun part is to see
Sure.
what players are next and who you could possibly get on your team. And there's so many names that I hadn't heard in such a long time, and then I see him in the draft, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Like I
Yep.
remember Shaw from Orlando. He played with Hardaway. I'm gonna get him.
Yep.
And there's a lot of names where I'm like, okay, I remember that player, but I don't remember how his career went. So here I am on Basketball Reference looking this guy up to see what his stats were and how what his career was like. It's like, okay, yeah, I'll draft him.
There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, man. That's cool. And the game does a pretty good job of as far as like if you don't know about this, you could do this too. You can look up mock drafts. So you could see where players are potentially slotted on where they're projected to go in the draft. So like right now, Terrell Brandon's he keeps bouncing between number 2, 3, and 4. and I have the third pick. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean where he's going to end up, but it's kind of cool seeing that. And you can also see where you're moving in the draft too. I made a trade with like Seattle, and that's how I got the third pick. So as they're losing games, I can see myself moving up, and then I can see who's projected to go there and kind of get an idea of who I might be able to draft, which is pretty fun too. But the game does a pretty solid job of putting players where they should be. You know what I mean? Like Luke Longley, for example, just a random name. I don't know if he's in this draft or he was in the last draft, but he was like sitting, like he was projected like as a second rounder. And like Luke Longley's not a household name, but if you're an NBA fan from the 90s, you know who he is because of the Bulls and Jordan. And you would probably sit here and think, well, yeah, he went, he probably went top 15 or something like that, right? But he was actually, slated to go later in the draft, and the game also kind of reflects that as well, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool mode. I have to explore it a little more when I got some time, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Along with and what's funny too is I was on a little bit of a hiatus with that, and when you started talking about it again, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I have a final series I gotta finish. So I've been playing through that in the last couple nights, and I'll move into the off season and start playing that again. But another quick thing, kind of also, gaming related real quick. I sent you over a video or two, and I posted one of these on our social media channels. I got to get it up on our YouTube. Minor, I guess, announcement is that, Alex and I, we like to game, and we like basketball games, like using the Cavs and stuff like that. And, as again, we're in this part of summer where there's not a lot going on, we might throw up a couple clips on the YouTube channel. I might have to create a new playlist for that. But one of the ones I posted was from the very first NBA 2K game. Remember Allen Iverson on the cover for the Dreamcast? And I wanted to boot that game up, and watching the Cavs introduction again. First of all, I miss introductions like that. Games don't do that anymore. But it was just a blast watching, Wesley Person come out, Sean Kemp come out, Lamond Murray, Zydrunas Ilgauskas. The game has Brevin Knight starting. I would start Andre Miller. But it was just cool, like, oh yeah, because like you and I have both talked about, like, that's an era of Cavs basketball that we both enjoyed a lot, right? And that was a playoff team, and they were just a fun bunch to watch. The young guns with Kemp, right? The Derek Andersons, the Cedric Hendersons, and that was just awesome to revisit. And then I got a little crazy this week. I was like, you know what? They got to create a player feature in there for kicks. I'm just going to go ahead and create the 2023 starting lineup and put them in the game and make them starters and just see how that looks. And, the game was very limited at that time, Alex, as far as the customization you could do. There was only like 9 or 10 different faces you can choose from. Now it's like an endless thing. So, some players don't look that great, but it was still fun to mess with. And I might have to put that out on social media as well. Jared Allen, I thought, came out phenomenal, because one of the hairstyles that 2K game had is the fro, and you could throw a headband on him, and I think he's the one that looks the best. But man, that's been fun revisiting that as well, and just putting current Cavs players in those games.
Yeah, you sent me those clips, and it was pretty cool. I gotta admit, It was cool seeing old school NBA 2K that I remember playing in high school, and seeing Mitchell come out and Garland come out and Max Strus come out, Mobley. Yeah, it was cool. I also thought you were a big nerd for making it, but yeah, it's cool.
And actually, I did it with the original 2K game, and then I also did it with the 2K1. I didn't send you the 2K intro, but I sent you the 2K1, and I'm going to continue to go up the next couple years, 2K2, 2K3, maybe look at some of the live games from that era too, and just I want to get to a point to where how good could I make them look? And also, what game will actually say their names in the introductions? Because none of them really have too difficult of names, like first and last names. And 2K1 will say their last names during gameplay, but they don't actually say Donovan Mitchell in the intros. They just say their numbers. So I want to get to a point to where, like, how cool would it be? Maybe it's like 2K4 or 2K5 or something like that, where you have Donovan Mitchell come out, it actually says Donovan Mitchell,
Yeah.
with that era, that gaming era and
They started
introduction.
adding the audio files for
Right.
random
Like I think
names to be able to,
that'd be super cool to do.
common
So,
names.
hey man, there's no Cavs basketball. What do you want me to do? I'm getting bored,
I don't
man.
know. We probably lost a lot of listeners by this point in the show, Corey.
Oh, I'm sure if you're still here, man, yeah, I appreciate it. But hey, man, there's nothing going on right now, so this is what we do.
We'll have to
fill our
check
time.
the metrics for this episode and see where everybody dropped.
Yeah.
These guys are talking about video games. Let's
they dropped it. The freaking Beach Boys. Are you kidding me?
Oh man, dude, it was
a minute and 20 seconds into it, long gone, man. It's all good.
About this episode, the thing that gets me is I say Allen Iverson and you say Derek Coleman. Like, who jumps from Allen Iverson to Derek Coleman? You gotta go. Beast. You gotta go Jerry Stackhouse.
I could go George Lynch, or I could really stick it to you and say Eric Snow. Mic drop.
I got a mic drop for you. Lucius Harris was on that team, who played on the Cavs for one season.
He did play on the Cavs
with Robert Tractor Trailer. There you go.
Robert Tractor Trailer. There you go. There you go. Bringing it back home. And that's the other thing too. That's funny. Those old games, seeing the lineups. And I remember sending you a message, man. In NBA 2K, the first 2K game, we went from Sean Kemp to Robert Tractor Trailer as our starting power forward. And then we remembered, that he died young, and I even started looking him up on basketballreference.com. I looked up his Wikipedia and like, oh man, he died at 34 years old of a heart attack. Like, that's horrible. He played 2 seasons with the Cavs during 2 different, eras. And I was, you just start going down these rabbit holes, remembering, former Cavs players, and just the internet, man, at your fingertips. You can look it all up and have everything you need. And then you said, yeah, I'm watching a highlight clip right now. You just received a nice pass from Lucius Harris or something like that. Well,
I think that's going to do it, Corey. I got nothing else here.
You got nothing else? All right. I didn't know if you were going to mention that Cavs Reddit thread or not.
Which one?
The Cavs Player of the Day.
Nah. Yeah, the Cavs subreddit's doing a Cavs Player of the Day. They've been going each day, posting a old player. But yeah, they're rolling through the standard ones.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. They're going with the names you all know instead of giving Bimbo Cole some love. Yeah. So I told Alex before we jumped on here, we need to jump on that thread and just spam it with Christian Iyenga, Bimbo Coles, Henry Sims, the likes of those players. Real ones know. So, all right, Alex, let's wrap it up. We done. We out of here. Thank you, Cavs fans, as always, for tuning in and listening. And Alex, you want to let them know where they can follow us and connect with us?
Follow us on Twitter at CavsPickAndRoll. Shoot us an email, CavsPickAndRoll@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube. That's it.
All right. Well, there it is, Cavs fans. We will talk to you again soon.
Peace out, Cavs fans.